Hey, how y'all doing? I am back, and I've got a new something. It's not a rant, but it's something like that. A friend of mine named Gail posted something on Facebook this morning, and it was a newspaper clipping from some lady who had written to an advice columnist. Not Dear Abby, but somebody like that. And her issue was, she said she has two sisters. She said her and her sister and a couple of her cousins and a cousin-in-law or something along those lines get together every so often, and they go to the city and shop and have lunch and basically fellowship, for lack of a better term. Now, the reason she wrote to this advice columnist is because her baby sister was not included in this outing, and she got her feelings hurt. And her description of her baby sister is this: she is a divorced single mom who works. So according to her, she probably can't afford to go on something like that, which you and I both know is bullshit. Not that she can't afford it, but the reasoning is a bit suspect. But anyhow. And also, her baby sister is a quote-unquote sporadic churchgoer, as opposed to her and her sister, her other sister and her cousins, who are basically avid churchgoers, from what I understand. Anyhow, she said that her baby sister came to her house and she was upset and she was crying because she was left out of this. And she said she was upsetting my children, and my husband threatened to call the police if she didn't leave, which tells me a lot just from that. But anyhow, she wants advice columnists to give her advice on how to basically tell her baby sister to fuck off. Find some more friends that are more like-minded with her, from what I understand. And the advice columnist, which I thought was brilliant, she was a lot nicer to the lady than I would have been. She told her, she said, well, let me start this response by saying that I agree with your baby sister. You are a horrible person. And the next time you go to your church pew, you might want to pay attention, because it seems like you've learned nothing, which I agree with completely. Now, had it been me giving the advice, I would have reamed her for such behavior. If I was going somewhere, I have my brother Dion, my brother John, I love them, they're my babies. I would never exclude one of them because of their financial situation, or, for God's sakes, because they were not religious minded as I thought I should, or I thought I was. I think that is ridiculous. But that is exactly why I'm making this rant. Because of these bound for heaveners. That's a new phrase that I've coined in term of holy rollers. I've seen this, man, my entire life. I grew up in Alabama, and I'm not saying that Alabama is indigenous to self-righteous people. It's not. It abounds, and no matter where you are. But I have seen it firsthand. 54 years I've been on this planet. I have never one time, not even once, saw somebody walk up to somebody else and say, God told me to tell you that he loves you. Have a nice day. Never heard it, not one time. However, more times than I could count, I have seen somebody or heard somebody walk up to somebody, have had them do it to me, and tell me that God told me to tell you that you're going to hell if you don't change your ways. Or God told me to tell you that you're going to hell, period. I have heard it. I have seen it. It is rampant. The self-righteous. You got to love them, brother. You've got to. And I don't mean that in a good way. I've always heard the story we hear when we're growing up is how heaven is pearly gates and streets of gold and silver cities. And I know that's an analogy to describe heaven being beautiful. I get it. For me personally, my heaven would be everybody that I've lost. We are reunited. We're at a picnic. We're watching the grandbabies play in the park, or watching the babies play in the park, and we're happy to be together. That's my idea of heaven. It has nothing to do with wealth or gold or anything like that. But these self-righteous types, I'm better than you because I'm a Christian. I don't get it. Jesus wasn't like that, and I can't compare any of them to Jesus as far as saying they're better. The guy that they supposedly follow and tell everybody that Jesus loves me, did not have that attitude at all. I can guarantee you he would have never left his baby sister out because she was a divorced mother of one who worked and was a sporadic churchgoer. I can guarantee you he wouldn't have done that. And I don't even mean to know the mind of Jesus. I just know better. He would never have done anything like that. But like I said, it got me to thinking, these people, I've went through a period in my life where I was a Pentecostal. About 2 years. I was a true believer, man. Carried the Bible with me. I was all about it. I really was. And it also took me about 2 months of dealing with this type of people to turn me into a devout atheist. And I shit you not, a lot of people don't know this, but it's true. There was a period of about 2 years where I absolutely did not believe in God whatsoever. I thought it was total bullshit, and it was all just a ruse. But then something funny happened to me a couple of years later. I saw something on the news about some baby being killed, some toddler being tortured and killed. And before I even thought about it, I caught myself just asking God, why? Why would you let something happen like this? I was pissed. And I'm not saying God spoke to me. I'm not one of those people who would tell you that God told me anything. But I'm telling you this much, I believe it was. But it came to me as clear as day. It was like freedom of choice. I can't interfere with freedom of choice. Free will. And it was as clear as the day is long. And I stopped that day not believing in God and realized that he actually was there the whole time. What I had forgotten about him, what it just seemed to elude me, was you can't change people's will. You have free will. You can be a self-righteous asshole if you want to be. You can believe you're bound for heaven and everybody else is hell-bound. That's absolutely your right. Nobody can change your mind. That is something that lies within you. So this lady who excludes her sister from her outing because she evidently doesn't go to church as much as she does. She's perfectly in her rights to do that. She's perfectly in her rights to think she's completely right about doing that. Doesn't mean that she is. But it's just something that I've learned. It's something that I've noticed. And people seem to, I don't know what it is about the power of being a Christian, because it is a powerful thing. And it can, for some people, overtake them. I think that's probably the reason why there are followers in the Bible and there's a shepherd. I think there's a reason why. I think not everybody's meant to be a shepherd. But God also gave you some common sense. Pay attention. If something sounds like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. It's real good advice to keep. You start thinking that because you're a Christian, because you go to church every Sunday, that you are somehow above the rest of them, you're wrong. Let me assure you of that. You are wrong. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm not trying to tell you how to believe. I'm just trying to tell you that if you have gotten yourself in a position as a Christian to where your sibling, who you should love, is somehow excluded from your outings because she doesn't go to church as much as you, or you think somehow she's less of a person than you are, you might want to check yourself, because the advice columnist was right. The next time you go sit in that pew, you might want to pay attention, because you're missing something. Got nothing but love for you. OUT.